Wade Wilson. When I'm finished, your mutated cells will heal anything. But you think we're making you a superhero. We're making you a super slave.
We'll see about that, Posh Spice.
Now, look at me. I don't want to.
Exactly.
Oh, there's the money shot, baby.
观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看本期的对话好莱坞，我是主持人蓝天呢。今天我们来到了 Culver City 的大名鼎鼎的 Blur Studio 呢，那它是谁开的 Studio 呢？它就是《死侍》里面的导演 Tim Miller， 他是我们的特效大师。那今天呢，就让我们跟他一起来聊一聊他制作《死侍》背后的故事吧。Hi, Tim. So thank you for being a guest on my show.
It's my pleasure.
It's my honor. So you were actually nominated for Academy Award in 2005 for the Best Animated Short Film, right, for Go for Broke. And you were a producer for that short film. And did you guys think that you were going to get nominated?
No. I mean, the whole Oscar thing was new to us back then. We had done one short film and it was shortlisted. And then we decided, hey, this is pretty fun.
Yeah.
All the attention it brought the studio. So we did another one. Jeff Fowler directed that one. He's one of our directors here. Did a great job. We had another one in there that year too called In the Rough. We've done 5 or 6 short films since then.
So what's Go for Broke about?
It's about a gopher trying to get a meal.
Okay.
And hilarity ensues, but that's kind of the plot of it. It's pretty simple.
That actually sounds pretty similar to Piper that won this year.
Yeah,
right?
It is. A little more edgy, a little less sweet than
Darkened.
that. Yeah,
okay.
A little darker.
So you were actually hosting for this year's Oscar Week animated short screenings, and you got pretty choked up on stage. What was that about?
Whenever I do any kind of public speaking that has an emotional component to it,
Right.
either I'm grateful or I'm sad or whatever, I cry easily. I mean, it's kind of a joke in the studio that I get choked up. Like
We
if
all
I'm
thought it
saying
was a
thank
joke.
you
Okay.
to people or something like that, I'm a very emotional person. Even
Very
though
genuine.
I got
I like
tattoos and-
genuine.
Thanks.
Right.
I wish I could control it a little more. It's a little embarrassing, but it's just I get emotional. I'm so grateful most of the time for how lucky I've been. See, I get choked up even just talking about it. But it just makes me happy. I cry when I'm happy.
Right.
Yeah.
You should really pursue the acting career. I think it'd be
No,
really
because
good for you. You'd be better than Ryan.
You
I
have
think.
you have to be able to control it.
Yeah, that's true.
Ryan can control it.
So you actually designed the title sequence for 2011 Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, as well as Thor: The Dark World. So what would you say your style for the title sequences are? Your type of genre and what inspired you?
I wouldn't say it's my style. I would say the style should serve the film. So in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that's David. He's got an idea for what he wanted it to be. I think he called it Black Dream for Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and he wanted to tell the story of all 3 books in 2.5 minutes. So that's what we kind of did, but we told it through dreams and metaphors and things like that. For Thor, it was kind of a different story where they decided pretty late in the game that they needed to set up the story of the film and orient the audience for what had happened in the past to what was going to happen in the film. So Marvel, I know all those guys from way back when. I've known Kevin since we did toy commercials for Marvel back in the day. And they said, hey, would you come in? And they knew me and what I did. And they came in and said, here's a little 3-minute piece we need. Can you just take it and handle it?
Right.
So that's what I did. So we did this whole opening sequence where Malekith is talking about this ancient shard that has power and what happened to it, and it's 5,000 years in the past and all that other stuff. So it's a lot of fighting and dudes in makeup, which is right up my alley.
So how would you say your visual effects is different from other studios?
I wouldn't say it's incredibly different. Blur does a lot more all CG storytelling than it does straight visual effects. So we tend to be more involved with the storytelling kind of projects than straight visual effects projects, which somebody else has decided what the story is, and you're just adding to it. But we do both, and we like to do both. But we got into this niche in the game market, and we do a lot of stories, cinematics for games, and that sort of gives us a different perspective on it, and our pipeline is a little different because of it.
I see. So you later actually got hired by the 20th Century Fox to direct your first feature film, Deadpool, right? What was that creative process like? Because I know it was a super lengthy development.
Yeah, I was on it for a long time.
Right.
Originally, they'd seen a cinematic. This guy, Drew Crivello, who's an executive over there on Deadpool, but also on the X-Men movies, he saw a cinematic I did for DC Universe and tracked me down and said, hey, would you help with some action choreography on an X-Men movie? And I said, sure.
Yeah.
And then he said, you know, actually we have this other film. You might be perfect if you're looking to direct. And, and it's Deadpool, and have you heard of it? And you saw in the studio out there a giant wall of comics. I'm a super nerd.
Yeah.
So I have all these comics out there, and
you're like, of course I've heard of it.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. And in fact, the script had leaked, so I'd even read the script. So we developed, the script was great when I first read it. I had some changes that I talked over with the writers and they were down with. So we worked on the script for a little while and bid it, got it up to that point where the studio says make it or not, and they decided not. They just didn't think the time was right. They didn't like the script too much. And so everybody kind of walks away quickly because they don't want to spend any more energy if they think it's not going to go.
Right.
But Rhett and Paul, the writers, and I just would not give up. Rhett and Paul were, they thought it was the best script they'd ever read, so every month or so we would sit down and talk about, okay, what are we going to do? And I would write letters to the studio.
Pleading letters.
Oh, begging.
Begging for
them. I mean, you know, who do I have to have sex with?
To.
Yeah. Who do I have to have carnal knowledge of
to get this movie?
Yeah, to get this movie made. And they were always very polite and said, you know, thank you for the enthusiasm, but not right now. But we didn't give up, you know. Then we would ask Jim Cameron and David Fincher to like write letters and talk to them for us, and Rhett and Paul just never gave up.
Right.
And so, eventually, this teaser that we had done, this little trailer, which was really a proof of concept for how I wanted to handle the visual effects, leaked.
Did anybody on your team leak it?
I don't know. To this day, I have no idea
who leaked the video, the trailer.
It's just one of those things that somehow got. I mean, we've got a lot of people here, and the short had gone to agents had it, people at the studio had it. You know, a lot of people had it by that time, and somebody just leaked it. So
the fans were asking for this.
The fans went crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
I was sick to my stomach because I thought I was going to get in huge trouble. But it turned out that Fox they weren't that mad. And the fact that the fans liked it so much, combined with the type of movie it was and the time being more right to do a movie that made fun of the genre a little bit. The timing was better. And then Emma Watts kind of going into the studio and saying, look, R-rated movies are a section of the market that Fox can own in a big way. I think all of those things combined to let us get the green light.
Wow. So, like, what made it go back and forth between being PG-13 and rated R? Because I know that was a super crazy conflict, right?
You know, not by the time we actually made it. Earlier on, I had said in one of those desperate letters of, please, can I make this? I'd said, what if we make it PG-13? Does that make a difference? Because
you were bargaining with the studio.
Oh, yeah. And look, you know what? I'm so happy we made it R, but our PG-13 script was good too. It wasn't like, people at home, they go, oh, you're selling out. But I didn't feel like I was selling out. I just wanted to get the movie made. And it's not, what's cool about the character is not that that you can, you know, blow people up and it's incredibly gory and slice them up with swords. That's not the coolest thing about the character. So if I had to turn the camera away a little bit during that, I didn't feel like I was, you know, ruining what was intrinsically great about the character. So anyway, we did a PG-13 draft of the script, and it turned out the studio didn't give a about that. So it didn't help the cause. And that happened long before we actually
movie
got
got
up to
picked
the
back
point.
up, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that happened in the middle, and we did a PG-13 draft, and they said, yeah, the answer's still no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so once they already decided that they were going to pick back up the project,
It was R.
they give you
It was R,
It
yeah.
was R. They agreed with R.
Yeah, and what we shot was essentially the same movie that we had turned in 5 years before that, and then
Right.
said no to.
So for this movie, it was really weird that Fox actually gave you guys a lot of freedom for the whole creative
was
process.
crazy.
You know how usually they just, they're super controlling about what they want to see, what they want to be put on the market because they're really scared of, losing money. So how was that like?
Simon, one of the other things we did that was helpful was we got Simon Kinberg to come on board as a producer. And Simon, I think Fox really trusts him with all their comic book brands. So Simon coming in and saying, hey, this is actually really great. The script is good. Tim doesn't seem like a lunatic. The budget is very reasonable because they were only willing to risk so much, which turned out to be plenty. So all of those things combined, I think, gave us a level of freedom. And I don't think because it wasn't a $150 million movie, people don't pay as much attention to that. It's not, and when you have other things, like they have the big X-Men movie, they're focusing a lot of attention on that because that's $150 million or more. So they're all eyes are on that, and they're not on us and our little $60 million movie over here. So that allowed us to have a lot of freedom. I mean, it was crazy. First-time filmmaker on set. They didn't make us change anything about the script.
Yeah, that's pretty
they
shocking.
left us alone. There was nobody from Fox up there saying, do this or don't do this.
They're really a little too occupied.
It was crazy. I remember like a few weeks into the process, Emma Watts called me and she said, I'm just checking in. And I said, is there anything I should be doing better? Is there anything I could improve? And she said, you're doing great. The dailies look great. I hear from everybody on the set that things are running smoothly. You're making your days, which means you're staying on your schedule.
Oh, wow.
So she's just keep doing what you're doing, and it was really nice. You know?
And so how do you feel about not being on board for the second series?
Oh, it was tragic. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, I was really.
Are we gonna get super emotional again?
No, I'm not. No, if I would be angry about that, not cry.
Are you angry?
Yeah, I'm a little angry.
A little bit?
Yeah, I'm a little angry.
What's the story behind that?
Well, creative differences, But I was lucky to get the first chance.
Right.
So, and I would have liked to have had another bite at the apple, mostly because I love the character.
Right.
I had such a great experience with all the cast and crew, and there's very few times in life where you could look at something and say, okay, I did this and I made a lot of mistakes, and here's a chance to do something better.
Right.
And when I say mistakes, I don't mean like, I pissed the wrong people off. I mean mistakes like just parts of the film or the creative process that I think I could do better.
You could improve on, right?
Yeah, just me looking at it going, I could have shot this way, or I should have done that way.
But it's so good already.
Thank you. It's hard for me to look at it.
We're just never satisfied. Right?
Yeah, it's hard for me to look at it and get that same feeling.
Right.
Although, honestly, the final day of the mix, I'm still laughing at Ryan's jokes. They're still funny to me, so it wasn't like it ever lost its magic.
Right.
But I had so many good things going for me. I had a great script, I had a great cast,
right.
I had a great crew, and the whole experience was great. I am sad I'm not doing the next one, but, sometimes when things are successful, you can't get that same mix of magic that you had before. And
because in the beginning it's the purest, right?
I'm no different. My goal with Deadpool 2 was that worked. Let's just do it again.
Yeah,
You know, and I think it had that the three pillars of comedy, action, and heart that I think is why it was successful. We had a great love story. We had a lot of comedy, and we had some great action. So those were the ingredients that I wanted to keep. You know, sometimes you hear out in the media, I talked about it before, people say, oh, he wanted to do a big film, or it was none of that bullshit. It's just...
Are you guys still friends
different.
though?
Who?
Are you and Ryan? Are you guys still friends? Good friends?
Yeah, I still have a warm spot in my heart for Ryan.
Of course. But I mean, apparently, you know, it's you shouldn't be angry at all because you have better and bigger things coming for you. You're directing the Terminator franchise, a new installment, so that's great. Can you tell us
maybe
a little bit about
angry
that?
is a bad word. Maybe disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed.
Disappointed. Yeah. I
Of
really
course,
was. I was pretty
course.
excited about the script we had.
Of course.
When I was going to do it.
Right.
And so, but honestly, I could not have gotten luckier. So I'm pretty grateful for all of that.
Yeah.
Terminator's going to be great.
Yeah.
I love the original Terminator films, and what's great about this that I think is different from the rest of the franchise that came after Terminator 2 is Jim's involvement. He's in the mix completely, and my goal is to honor what Jim did with the first two films and continue that. This is not my chance to, like, I'm going to take it and reinvent it and do. I mean, there's a certain...
But just continue the legacy.
Yeah, I want to honor what Jim did, and I think I will never be the filmmaker that Jim Cameron is, but I feel like what he did can be built on in a way that he would have done it if he had, you know, made another film. Or not exactly the same, because like I said, I'm no Jim Cameron. But my goal is to honor the first films, you know.
So we're here in your Blur studio in Culver City. This is such an amazing studio.
Thank you.
Right when you walk in, there's just, you know, there's the bookshelves, and then there's the tall ceilings, and everyone's really hard at work, and everyone's being creative. The creative juices is flowing. And I know that you guys actually have like a little screening session on Friday afternoons. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about what your studio does and what you do on a daily basis?
You know, we started the studio to do whatever me and my partners at the time, there's only two of them, thought were interesting and cool. And ultimately, I felt like when you're working for somebody else, they decide your creative destiny. And oftentimes it's business related, like, oh, this flying logo is going to pay more than this interesting project that has, you know, a break-even budget. And so I wanted the power to say, yeah, I'd rather lose money and do something cool than make money and do something creatively uninteresting. So that was kind of the philosophy of the studio, and it's still that way to a degree. Although we have to pay the rent and pay everybody, we have to.
I bet it's super expensive.
Actually, it's not. It's very cheap. It's very cost effective here in Culver City.
Wow.
We used to be in Venice. That's very expensive.
Oh yeah, Venice, Santa Monica. Yeah.
Because Google's down there.
Exactly.
Yeah, Silicon Beach. But anyway, so we kind of do whatever's interesting from a project standpoint, whatever looks creatively interesting, something that I think the artist will enjoy. And we move from, you know, we're sort of known for film, game cinematics. We do a lot of work in the game industry. It's the storytelling, the marketing trailers, or sometimes the stuff that's in the middle of the game to give players a more backstory, more context for the game itself. But we also do film effects, and we do commercials, and we do visual effects for films like Deadpool. We did the title sequence for Deadpool. We did a bunch of the visual effects scenes with Colossus, and we had 9 different vendors. Digital Domain did a huge chunk with Colossus too, but everybody worked together.
I really love your this culture here at your studio, and everyone's so friendly, and then you don't have, you know, like you're really good friends with everyone working here. You know, you don't seem like the big boss. You don't have an office. You sit with everyone on the ground floor.
Yeah.
So what's the philosophy behind your whole studio and this whole concept?
Well, I mean, me not having an office is just kind of, I'm an artist, and I don't.
Right.
I'm not a business guy, and I enjoy being around other artists, but I don't like cubicles for the studio. I don't feel that when you go to some studios and people have their own offices and people have cubicles, and I feel like you learn a lot about the project, and you can build off the creative energy that everybody has if you can walk past someone's desk and see what they're working on. Oh man, that's cool. Tell me about that. Or why are you doing that? That's crazy. And I don't think that happens if people are segregated.
Right.
The mix is nice. Sometimes it gets a little chaotic.
Yeah, right.
Especially when we have Nerf gun fights. But but most of the time it's pretty focused, and people can put their headphones on and work. And they can also mix if they want. So I really like that open atmosphere, a really flat hierarchy. I'm kind of a socialist at heart. I don't believe in
capitalism, and
in the service of a grander idea. I do, but in the service of just making money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're a true artist. And so can you tell us a little bit more on any cool and exciting projects that's coming up for you?
We have a big Netflix animation project I can't tell you too much about, but
Okay.
I think that it's going to address the adult and the lack of adult animation in Western culture. I think that right now, mostly it's talking animal films coming out of the big studios, which are great. I love talking animal films.
Like Pets and
Zootopia. They're great.
They're great.
They're great, but
Totally.
But the same culture that likes comic books and heavy metal and the more adult things.
They're not for adults, yeah.
Right. And animation in the Asian world, in Europe, has a long tradition of being for adults as well as for younger people, and more artistically motivated rather than commercial. And so we're trying to address that in our own way. So
You're
I think
working
it'd
with
be cool.
Netflix.
Yeah, with Netflix.
Wow, that's super exciting.
Yeah, you'll hear more about that soon.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you for sharing all your stories
my
with
pleasure.
me and keeping the profanity to the minimum.
The bare minimum.
That was very great. That was very less
was
than
an
what I
effort. It was an
super
effort.
yeah.
It was an effort.
Less than what I expected. All right. 好的，以上就是我们今天对话好莱坞的全部内容了。感谢大家的收看，我们下一周同一时间再见了，拜拜。